Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have our next guest here joining us. And yes, it is Ruby Brower. She's joining us here from South Bend, Indiana, to talk more of what she does to help you with AB Life and Enterprise. As a personal management developer, we welcome you to the show. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited to do this.
Well, I'm excited to have you here as well. And we had a few kinks, but we're excited to have you. And as life and enterprise coaching, we're going to learn all about what you do. And first and foremost, I just want to ask if people want to reach out to you today, what is the best form of contact? Do you want to share a website, an email address, or phone number?
I'm going to do the email address,
Sure.
which is coachfinancing at
Okay.
gmail.com. And the phone number is 574-386-7261.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ruby.
You know what? To tell you about myself, I have to tell you about yourself.
Aw.
Yes. And I just want to start out by saying this. As a life and enterprise coach, I also am a human person who goes through what the world goes through. And so on the day when the emotional me, the person who self-doubted myself, um, I was looming with that. And I received a follow-up call from Tim Warren from your network. And he kept in touch with me for a whole year, it seemed like.
Wow.
And he did his follow-up. And this day when Tim called me, he says, Ruby, I have to tell you, I can make your business a household name if you would just come outside of the box. And that resonated with me. And not only did he do follow up, but he connected with me. That was our real big
Uh,
connection. And I said, you know what? There is a scripture in the Bible that talks about this. It's talked about the person who would not go outside because there were lions out there and they
yeah.
would devour them. And here
Oh,
I was, feeling that moment when Tim called me and he said,
yeah.
Ruby, come out of the box. And I said, you know what? I want to come out of the box. So so I took the lion thing and I made an acronym out of the lion thing. And we're going to get to that before we do it. But I was just totally impacted by this. And I said, I need to clearly say what it is that I need, what it is that I want, and so that I can be impactful in helping others to figure out what they need and what they want. And I said, well, I'm gonna take the I'm gonna take the lion thing because it was through. I don't know whether I want to talk about the follow up or I want to talk about the lion because I want to get back to the follow up because he tailored his message to my specific needs. And this is what I want to do for my clients. The timing was he reached out at my most need of encouragement and he had that emotional connection with me to be able to do this. And I said, well, I want to do the same thing, like I said. And I took the acronym of the Lions. It's metaphorical, coming outside. And I said, the lions are out there and they seem to lurk. That's the L. They seem to lurk outside. They were threatening to consume my aspirations. The doubts and the negativity stood guard at my door, and they posed to shadow my dreams and visions. And I found myself captive to the echoes of the past discouragements, and their whispers were attempting to take root in my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And these inner voices insisted that the opportunities before me were just mirages, that
Wow.
they were reserved only for a select few deemed to tell me no. Deemed worthy. I'm sorry. Each of my aspirations was met with the resounding no. I can't go outside. The lions are there. And it had me feeling, and the S is for lions, and it made me feel that success could not be reached. In that moment, my dreams felt intangible, and I questioned whether I was merely indulging in wistful thinking. Yet beneath the S again, the struggle lay the seeds of resilience, waiting for the courage to break through these self imposed barriers and define my potential. And let me tell you, this is what Tim did for me that day. And this was a breakthrough. And I looked at this thing and I went back and I cried and I called Tim and I said, you know what, Tim? I said, my experience of working with people in the community, I've noticed that many of them spend a significant time trapped in negative thought patterns. And it was crucial for me to remember that falling into this trap is a common human experience. We all grapple with self doubt and limiting beliefs at times. And I put together a workshop. And as I developed the workshop, I developed on the university of negative self talk. I recognized that these weren't unique individual failures, but rather common psychological mechanisms that many people struggle with. People often go here and they have those they internalize external criticisms and past experiences, leading to deeply ingrained self-limiting beliefs that significantly impact their and personal and professional development. And my goal
Wow.
with this workshop is to provide a supportive framework for personal transformation. And I offer the tools that help people to recognize and challenging these self sabotaging thoughts. I help them to create a pathway for them to reframe their personal narratives. Ultimately, I aim to empower individuals to overcome their psychological barriers. The approach I'm developing involves acknowledging these thoughts without judgment, okay? Understanding their origins, developing cognitive reframing techniques, and building resilience and self compassion. As a coach, I see my role as helping people recognize these lions, these seemingly unsurmountable obstacles are often um, imaginary, and they that can be overcome with the right mindset and with the tools. And by sharing my own experiences, my own vulnerabilities, which is hard sometimes, I hope to create a more relatable and effective coaching practice. After all, even as a coach, I'm not immune to these challenges, but it's through facing and overcoming them that we grow and we can better help better others to do the same. So I changed my approach to the lion thing. Would you like to hear how I changed my approach?
Absolutely,
Here.
Ruby.
Yes. My new approach to the lion is telling them what I expect out of life by defining that what I need and want. And I tried a new thing since Tim and I began to talk. I do the affirmation. When my feet hit the floor, I tell myself, I will be successful. I will complete this task today. Ruby, you are all right with me. Ruby, you're growing. So, and so I learned, I came out of the house and I joined the podcast network. And what I needed most were Lion again. I needed listeners. I needed a good uh, podcast for a broad audience. I needed someone who would help me get the message out. I needed passive income for the eye, and I needed investors. I, I mean, oh, I needed opportunities to become an expert leader in this industry of life coaching. Okay, life and enterprise coaching. Now I want both of them in there, and preparation, I believe, is the key. I needed a network on a broad scale, and that's where you guys come in. I needed to align myself, my thinking, my actions, and use the tools and skills that I had learned on my journey to help someone and myself as to be successful. And my approach to defining my needs and wants is a great first step in achieving my goals as a life and enterprise coach. And based on my needs, here are some strategies that I need help in order to become where I want to be. And here is what I'm using this podcast company for. I need you guys, and I studied you really, really well. I went in the computer and I said, this is what they're offering. This is what I want. This is what I need. And I studied you guys. And I need help with building
Your business, building your
broadcast
brand, building.
audience.
I'm here, Ruby. I'm
Yes,
letting you talk
yes,
and talk, but I'm listening.
yes.
Thank you. Wow. Keep going.
I
Keep going.
need that. I need that. I need to leverage my podcast for success. I don't want to be just sitting up here talking about anything. I want something that's going to help me to be successful and the people I serve to be successful. And I need, by choosing a niche, by providing valuable content, and I hope this is valuable content. I want to create additional products because I have books and I have all kinds of tools that come with this organization. I need a network strategy, something that's going to work. And I need to align my message with who I am and what I'm trying to achieve. I need to prepare for success because baby, success is coming. Success is coming. Um, but do you have some questions for
Yeah,
me or
yeah, because I didn't get to really get to know you yet. I love all that you said. I love that you're believing in us. I love that you have joined us and you're, here helping people with your life and enterprise coaching. But specifically, let me ask, tell me the type of coaching you do best and the people that can benefit from your service. Is it life coaching, financial coaching, all the above? I want to hear more about the people that you want to help and, how we can find, some good fits for you in a sense.
Can I go back and kind of tell you of how I got to where I am? And it's going
Well,
to
yeah,
answer
I
that
want to hear
question.
about your story back on the farm growing up and all that too. I really want to get to know you. I read about you, but I would love to hear your backstory. I think that helps people also resonate with you as well.
So you read my book.
I didn't
For
read your
you to
book. I
know.
just read some notes about you to hear how you grew
Oh,
up. And, so I want to share
hmm,
this with everyone in your own words, if you don't mind.
sure. I'm going to do this quickly. I was the last sharecropper. My family was on the Blues Farm,
Mm-hmm.
who raised tobacco and cotton. And I stood up in the farm. I don't know exactly where, but I said, Ruby ain't gonna be poor. And I meant that to the bottom of my heart. I was a teenager and I took a tape recorder and I recorded my voice all the way to the end. And I added this fake accent as if I had something to share with the world. And I did that. And then I became a lifelong learner. I would go down in the sharecroppers, the people of the Blues Farm. I would go in the basement of their house and I read Britannica's encyclopedias and I
Wow.
began to
I remember
learn.
those.
And when they looked for me, if I wasn't in cotton fields and tobacco fields, I would stay in the basement learning. And I said, and I would use what I learned to teach others. And I loved my life. And then I went on and I started going to college, first one in my family to go to college. And I did 1 year. And I don't know how this happened, but I was hired later on in life. I just want to say, and I have to say that I was emotionally and physically abused, was not liked by anybody except my father. I'm a daddy's girl. And I think that, because of that, I think that it brought that balance to my life. So great, great hate over here, great, great love over here. It brought in balance. And I went to college for a year, only a year. I was hired at a major university in Massachusetts. And I worked in the fields just like I do right now. At, at the time, I didn't know who I was, but I knew that I had great value in some sense. And they asked me to go to a workshop on resiliency. And I didn't use the word resiliency, but I did wonder why there were people like myself who went through so much trauma and everything, how they succeed, but some of them were crushed. Some of them, in their own thing. And I said, you know what, Lord, this workshop is going to happen. I went to that workshop, and in that workshop, and I meant to tell you, and during the time, my younger years, I did get married. I married somebody who treated me just like my mother. And I'm going somewhere with this. When I was at the workshop, right? If I'm interested in what you're talking about, I'm raising my hand and I'm like, oh my God, I'm writing notes and everything, sitting on the edge of my seat. When I did that, the speaker come out from behind the podium and he said to me this. He said, I'm a doctor. I've been teaching this stuff a long time. I always wanted laymen to understand what I'm saying. I'm choosing you to go author a book with me. My supervisor looked at me with hatred in her face, the same hatred that my mother had for me, the same hatred that my husband had for me, and I was crushed. My mouth went to the side. I became mute. I sat in a chair. I had seizures. They wrote me off. Society wrote me off and said that she'll never come back. And I stayed that way for a while. And I watched my husband come in, and he would buy the grocery. He would pick up the bills. He paid the housekeeper, but he did not pay any attention to me. But I decided at that moment, because someone come to me and said, and I also had a child too, who was 4 at the time, who took very good care of me. But someone come and told me, a psychologist friend says, you know, Ruby, I don't know if you can hear me, but the child that you have, Kimmy, no longer wants to take care of you. And I said, in my mind, I couldn't talk, but I was like, take care of me? I don't know what that means. She said she's taking care of you. She's feeding you. She's doing all of these things. And I thought, and she's giving you your medication. And when she would give me my medication, I would shake my head. No, I'm not going to take it. And I saw this child doing the job. And I said, oh, no, can't do this. I was like, oh, Lord, you got to get me out of this. Something is wrong. Something has happened to me. So I decided at that point I'm gonna go and study the brain. The doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. So I actually wrote a book during that time, my first pen book, and it's on Amazon right now. Aligning yourself to say yes to success. I watched successful people. And I said, that person is successful. What does that mean? And chapter 4 in that book talks about this thing, how my candle was burning on both ends. I had
And by
my
the way, the book,
mama hated
what
me.
is the title of the book, sweetheart?
Aligning yourself to say yes to success. It's on Amazon right now,
Great. I
and it
was
has
going to
been
say,
on
where can we
Amazon
look
for a
that
very
up? Okay, great.
yes, on Amazon, aligning yourself to say yes to success. It's in Ruby Ray Brower, but the Ruby Ray is, they say you can get it better through there. And so, and I said, Lord, I wrote the book. I don't know how I did it because my mind is shut off. How did I write this book? But it's clearly my writing. And so I wrote the book and I asked my friend, how did I do that? She said, you weren't always out of your mind. There were times, she said, I even come to you because she was going to Andrews University. And she said that she would actually, I would come out. And she said, I took advantage of you. She said, because you're so smart. And she graduated from college, from a summer program. So, and I thought, then you used me, and I kind of laughed. And then I paved my way out of there. And I told my daughter, I said, we're going to leave. I went to a domestic violence shelter and I went to Andrews University and I studied behavioral science. And I'm going to tell you, I walked out of there, out of Andrews University, talking just as strong as I am right now. And I told them what I wanted to do. I wanted, I described my book, which is my coaching agency, to them. And they told me, Ruby, there's no agency out there like that. And if there were, you would not be qualified to work in it. And I said, oh, then that means I have to own it. And I said, I went out and that year, 2001, 2002, and I started the very first life coaching agency in that area. Did not know, didn't know it was not an enterprise, it was just life coaching I faced. And it says individual, family, and community development. And I told my staff, I said, when you pick up the phone, you say individual, family, and community development. I was like, that's too long. So we did the acronym, which is I faced. And we said, and I said, it means I faced it. Whatever that mama, whatever those thoughts, whatever stands in the way of reaching your goals. I faced it. There's no E and I faced because there are no excuses. So when you pick up the phone now, you say, I faced it. Ruby speaking. How may I help you? And I didn't even know at the time that I was a life coach. Kellogg's Foundation, because this is in Michigan, because I graduated from Andrews University and I was in Michigan. They were the ones that told me that I was a life coach. They said life coaching is known in Florida, California. We don't have it here. Wrote me a $10,000 check, and they said just sign the $10,000 check. We'll train you to be what you already are. That made no sense to them, they said, but we know what we're talking about. They wrote that check and I signed it back over to them, and they trained me as a life coach. And then they started flying me all over the place because I didn't know how to make the agency make money. But now, um, forward, I said I put the coaching agency in places like um, food pantries because I wanted to help the people. And this is a long way of getting to the question that you asked.
That's
And
okay. But we only have 3 minutes left in the show, just letting you know. I know I'm giving you the full
okay,
time because I'm able to today. But yes, there's 3 more minutes left, sweetheart.
yes, 3 more minutes. Okay, so they put me in a life coaching agency, and I didn't want. That was not my clientele. People who just lay on their back, food, shelter, and clothing. It's not
Yeah.
my clientele. I wanted the 3% out of there who wanted to dream, who wanted to come out of that circle. And so I am for the entrepreneur. And so that's why I went on and I took the agency. It's AB Life and Enterprise
Hmm.
now, and Enterprise. So I am for the dreamer like myself, that dreamer, that achiever. So I think both of them are important
Yeah.
because if you got those self-sabotaging thoughts, you cannot reach your dreams, you cannot reach your goals. And so that's what it is. And I want people to, and right now I have don't let nobody take your crown thinking.
Yeah.
CR means
Beautiful.
we need to challenge our walk. No more excuses. And don't let nobody take your crown.
Beautifully said. That's a perfect way to end this on. And I want to thank you for being here, for joining us, and for being ready to help so many people. And let's just remind them how we can contact you. Do you want to share that email address again or phone number?
Yes, I do. I'm Ruby Brower, and the phone number is 574-386-7261. It is Coach Financing at gmail.com. Let's assume that you want our services and you can't afford it. We have financing that will help you to be able to afford my services.
Beautiful.
I love people, and I do worldwide, not just here. I do
I
worldwide.
I see it, I believe it, and I love it. I wanted to, when we talk next time, I would love to hear about some of the clients, some of your friends that that you've been helping over the years to get to know, the other ways
Yes,
you can benefit so many. And again, to pick up a copy of the book, tell us one more time. We go to Amazon and what do we
you
type
go
in?
to Amazon, and it's called Aligning Yourself to Say Yes to Success. But you know what? Don't buy that one. Buy my ebook and
Okay.
how to be an effective entrepreneur. And it has the whole journey, and it's more updated. That one's 33 years later.
Wow.
So that one is today, and it will tell you all, yep, do the ebook. Go to Amazon and look up that book. You can do that, but buy how to be an effective entrepreneur, and it tells the journey from the 33 years of the first book all the way up to this book. Is
Beautiful.
coachfinancing at gmail.com, and the ebook is only $25.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you today and looking forward to the next time we connect. I'm glad we were able to make that happen. Okay. Thank you so much, Ruby,
I'm
for
so
being
thankful.
here. And we'll talk soon. Again, that's Ruby Brower. Reach out to her. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day. Bye, sweetheart.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.